There are many people who are talented, hardworking, like myself, and capable, yet still find themselves overlooked, underestimated, or passed over in professional spaces. So how then do you stop waiting for recognition and start creating opportunities for yourself? In his latest book, Take the Gap, how the undermined, the underestimated, and the underdog can turn their experiences into success, author and leadership practitioner Lonwabo Patrick Kulati explores how people can turn difficult workplace experiences into lessons, confidence, and ultimate success. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So just a little bit about you, just before we get into the book. You can just tell us a bit about not how the book came about, but your experience as a profession, because I'm sure if you're going to write about the workplace, the corporate space, the professional life, you must have had your fair share in that space as well.
Indeed. Thank you so much again. I have 25 years or more in the workplace, including leadership, leading many organizations across the continent, but also doing executive coaching for professionals, managers, as well as leaders. So, and on top of that, I've researched on this topic a lot because I myself went through this process where I was working for this place, a big municipality in the Western Cape, where I felt tolerated than celebrated.
Should you be celebrated?
No, when you're contributing value.
Okay, of course.
When you're contributing value, I could see people that that were cruising. They were recognized. They were, people that are visible. Sometimes there are people that do not produce much, but they are visible. In meetings, they talk a lot. It's not as if they're giving substance, but they value visibility rather than value creation.
But that's their hustle.
It is. But I was one of those people who thought that if I deliver and do my thing, my work is going to speak for itself. But the truth of the matter is that in the working world, you need to advocate for your contribution.
Yeah.
You need to show. There are managers who take your idea and present it as if it's theirs, And if you do not advocate for your contribution, you came up with a nice project idea, you came up with a proposal on a policy or whatever the case may be. So I've been on the side of being managed. I've also managed other people. So throughout this whole 25 to 30 years, I have developed a sense of studying the workplace environment. Because what is also happening is that there's a lot of great people, highly qualified, highly experienced people, but they have a sense of smallness, an imposter syndrome, where a person self-sabotages not because the environment is against them, but simply because they don't see their contribution as valuable enough. And those people are dying because of burnout, they're dying because of stress and so forth. But this issue is not just happening at the lower level. It happens, there's 72% according to Gallup report on the state of the workplace, which came out in 2025. 70 to 75% of even senior professionals and executives have this imposter syndrome, self-sabotage. But the key issue, the key message of the book is that if you experience that sense of smallness, don't believe it. Name it for what it is and say, but I have qualifications, I've delivered, I know. And you name the evidence of your contribution and you believe that and move forward. Because sometimes you're not going to be able to decide completely away with that smallness. That voice is going to be there. You just need to move forward despite it.
Yeah. We are talking now about the book Take the Gap, and Lonwabo is here. The author of that book is here just to take us through the pages of that book, just to give us a sneak peek so that you can go out there and buy the book itself. It is Lonwabo Patrick Kulati. Okay, so you speak a lot about the term imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
What is it?
Imposter syndrome is a sense of smallness. It's a feeling that you do not qualify. Someone is going to call you out and say you are a fraud. It's a feeling. There was this lady that I was coaching. She was working here in Sentin, one of the big legal firms there. Just making an example of this imposter syndrome. And as she was about to start a meeting, there was a voice that came to say, but you don't belong here. You don't belong in this powerful place. She was going to meet this big client of theirs, only to find out that this woman qualified. She had a master's in an LMM and so forth, but she had grown up in a farm somewhere in Limpopo, where they were evicted from farm to farm, and they moved over to a rural area. She never in her mind thought that she would ever make it to university, first and foremost, and even more to such a big prestigious position in company. And that voice came at that moment when she was ready to take off, when she was ready to take the gap, and it says to her, no, Wena, you can't do this. You are coming from a farm. You know, who are you? So that's an imposter syndrome. It's a sense that you don't belong, but it mostly is a lie. It's a lying voice that maybe messaging as you were growing up. People have made you to feel a certain kind of way, and that voice comes at a strategic moment, but you need to develop capacity. That's where coaching comes in, capacity and skill sets to be able to deal with that voice when it comes and carry on working.
All right, so there are many external factors that play a role in how we show up at work that they don't necessarily stem from the workplace itself. It's what we bring with to the workplace, and only to find out that there are people that have dealt with their own imposter syndromes and have overcome. If you can overcome, or does it show up in different phases of your career? There are people that are just bold and out there, and they will always just grab the opportunity when it comes. Which, I was playing the devil's advocate earlier on when I was like, well, because I'm like, sometimes that's genuinely their hustle.
Exactly.
By being friends with the boss is their hustle. Utlaring, and focus on yourself. And it's unfortunate that yes, you may be qualified, you might be skilled, and you might be making a huge contribution, but you're sitting there at the back like, if it wasn't for me last week, we wouldn't have met the deadline. Can't they see? Well, unfortunately, that's not how the real world works.
Exactly.
Right?
That's why I have a chapter in the book that says how to advocate for your contribution. Because it's not going to happen like that. That's not the real world. You're right. There are people who by nature are out there, and so on. But the point I'm talking about is what goes on inside of you. Because that here I'm playing politics. This is thing. I'm acting here. It's not who I am. That's what I'm trying to deal with here. Because when it is like that, that's when it becomes wrong. But if it is your nature, you are out there, you engage with everyone, you can engage at the highest level, you can engage whatever level. That's who you are, But I'm now talking about where it is now being used as a political tool. You show up at the golf club when you feel like I should be actually spending time with my children. I should be spending time delivering that work. But I'm at the golf because the top bosses are here. I've got to be seen to be here. So there will be moments where you need to be in that golf course to play the golf because you are going to meet with the clients. You're going to do that, something like that. The book is really about saying there is a responsibility on both the side of the person who feels small as well as the side of the leaders who employ those people. We need to make it the workplace a space where people can come out, where people can develop, where people can grow. So basically that's the essence of what the book is about.
Okay, I want to get into some of the ways or strategies that you explore in the chapter where you look at self-advocacy in the workplace.
You
don't have to give them all away.
Yes. Firstly, you need to document your contribution. It depends also on the industry that you're in, but you need to document it. Make sure that if you have come up, let's say, with a policy proposal or a research paper, or whatever the case may be, document it. Talk about it in various platforms that are created for you. If there's a meeting and then you're invited to come, say, this is what I came up with. Advocate for what you say, what you have done, what you have come up with. Because if you do not do that, someone else is going to overhear and then claim that idea as theirs. And by the time you wake up, the idea would have been associated with that person, or the project would have been associated with them. And I mean, you write about it. Sometimes you even write in the internal newspapers. You advocate for your position, but you need to document it so that when there's performance reviews, you say it, you mention it there, you use that also as a platform to advocate yourself.
But Patrick, also there's people that they can abuse the self-advocacy, and I don't think that is actually self-advocacy, where just I was this and that and that.
Yeah.
I think that one is a problem, because that can just leave like a bitter taste in people's mouths, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we are this and that.
Yes.
Then how can they not overdo it?
A lot of this thing has got to do with values. Let's say you value humility, or I value humility. Most of the time, those people who have a high value of humility are the ones who are suffering the most, who do not advocate for themselves. But then you also have got people that no longer just are advocating for themselves, but they are now arrogant.
True.
They are just showy. They are even sometimes lying. That's where it becomes wrong, because now it's where it triangles into an area where it's just politics. It's a workplace politics that can be other people who even dislike you for behaving like that. We have to always manage it. So the chapter is really about addressing those people who feel like I must be out there. It's about saying to them, okay, you can value the idea of humility without compromising the idea of sharing your contribution. So the book basically is based on 3 P's. I call it the 3P framework. The first P is problems. The problem of small sense of smallness. The problem you talked earlier on about the system is the problem of what I call the glass ceilings, the concrete walls and the concrete ceiling. This is now the environment where you find yourself, where you're being put down. No matter how confident you are, there will be sometimes where you're just being shut down, and that's the problem. Then you've got possibilities. What is possible? It's painting a picture of what you can do. In other words, it says to you, you have it within you. You have a crown, wear it, don't tip it. And then there's the third P, which is proposals. Now this is a set of actionable steps that a person can do. Things like, for an example, hard work, productivity, things like understanding, you can turn your disadvantages into advantages. So there's a list that's about 8 of those steps that people can do, including this one of advocating for yourself, of how you can deal with the problems so that you can achieve the possibilities that we talk about.
So the title, Take the Gap, itself is seizing the moment, or what does that mean?
It is seizing the moment. You're spot on. I think you're right there. Basically, I played on this because my first book is called A Gap in the Cloud. All right. And then, but when I was launching that book in Gqeberha, I invited a friend of mine to come and share some reflections. And as she was talking, she says, you can see the gap, but you need to take the gap. And I started writing that at the time. It is then when I was working with these people that I was coaching, the executives that I was coaching, that I realized that there are times where people have opportunities, but they shrink back from those opportunities. Where there's an opportunity for you to take the gap, but people don't take the gap. The gap can be an opportunity that comes. It could be an innovation. And it does not always mean that the gap will be a wide open door. Sometimes it's just a crack in the door. You may push harder to make sure that you make it. So a gap is, you're right, you seize the moment to realize the value that you're here to realize.
Yeah. You also challenge leaders and organizations in the book. What responsibility then do managers have to recognize in terms of the responsibility that they have in order to recognize talented employees who may not necessarily be the loudest in the group.
It's a big challenge. I've been on the side of managing people, and you can see that this person, even when they talk about themselves, they put themselves down. You have ever heard people like that? You know, this person, you need to notice that by spending time with your employees, listening to them. But sometimes it's not just about project after project, delivery this. Sometimes the tools of delivery are people. And as a leader, as a manager, you need to calibrate those people so that they know that you are there, you care for them. So one of the ways is to listen to how people speak about themselves and pull them aside and just take them through to say, you come across like this, tell me about it. But you also need to create opportunities for people where you throw them in the deep end with a supportive system, where you give them an opportunity to run a project, say, start this from the beginning, and then we'll see how we can support you. And those are the ways in which a person who feels like they do not bring, especially the young kids who are doing internships, for example, those people see themselves as they have been being made a favor here. They are going to take papers, but that is not why they are here. They are here because I'm the leader. My job is to ensure that that person walks away with a sense of their importance and growth because of my own agency and intervention in their lives.
All right. So where can people get the book, and what other activations are out there so that they can follow this movement?
Thank you. I like it when you say this movement. It's called Take the Gap Movement. Basically, this coming Thursday at 5:30, we're going to be in Clearwater Office Park at Old Mutual, where we are going to be launching this book here in Johannesburg. But people can get this book and they can get it from Take a Lot, from Amazon. They can hop onto our website, www.kulati.com, or they can send me a WhatsApp message on 082 300 7108. Then they can order it directly from me, and then I can courier it to them either through Postnet or PEP, whatever courier arrangement we make. So there are many ways that people can get it. I'm negotiating now with some of the distributing shops that are selling books so that we can also get the book out there through those channels.
Thank you so much for making the trip. I think it's a very interesting subject, and we've all been there, especially when you're young and impressionable. You're thinking, but I'm doing the right thing. It will, and then you soon realize, hey, this is a dog-eat-dog world.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So I think it's quite an interesting subject for all of us to get our fingers on and read all about. It's 13:49 Central African time. Chatting to the author Lonwabo Patrick Kulati of the book called Take the Gap.